Hi, friends.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to, I guess, episode 12. No.
13 now.
13. Episode 13 for podcast listeners.
Yes.
Episode numero uno.
For YouTube
listeners. How exciting. So this is our very first YouTube video.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm very excited about this. This is something that we've been kind of talking about for a moment, so we're excited to be doing this and have you guys here. For those of you that are just listening on either Spotify or Apple Podcast, we do have a YouTube channel where you can watch us with captions now, if that's a better option for you. But we'll still keep posting our podcasts on normal podcast platforms as well.
Everywhere else, but we're just kind of expanding ways to listen and ways to engage and talk to us. And
yeah. So excited.
So exciting. So anyways,
yes,
Katherine,
yes.
How's it going for you? How are you doing? Also, real quick side note, it's going to be hard for YouTube. They're going to see me drink my Starbucks every 5 seconds.
You know, it happens.
Or when we have frosés.
So, actually, I want you to go first. Tell me about how you're doing.
Okay, we can do that.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like this week was actually a pretty normal week for me. I was just kind of feeling, you know, like just kind of like steady. I was in a good mood more often than not this week, which is a little unusual for me.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and I don't know, I feel like it was a pretty easy week for me, actually. It was just kind of like, it just kind of breezed by, I guess.
I feel like that's kind of a big win. Like,
yeah.
Even just having, like, a normal week and not having, like, super, like, doesn't have to be super highs or super lows, but just feeling like this week was okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it was, and it was like a fine week. I mean, nothing, like, special happened to make it, like, an amazing week or anything like that, but it was a good week, so.
Yeah. And when we're feeling down or having a hard time, sometimes a normal week is, like, something that we need.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this might have been, in the first 13 episodes, the first time I've said that it was, like, a good week.
Yeah. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. So, not to go into your not-so-great week.
Yeah.
How are you doing today? Well, let's talk about, like, right now in this moment versus the week.
Yes. Okay. So, right now in this moment, I'm feeling present. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling excited that we're, doing this. How I'm feeling right now is very different than how I've been feeling, I'd say, at least for the past 2 weeks, if not more.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about today. I'm honestly kind of using our episode today to kind of process through my own stuff.
Well, yeah. That's what it's for.
So, over the last 2.5 weeks or a little bit longer, I've really been feeling myself kind of spiral, like having more thoughts of like, I'm worthless, I'm not good enough. At work, I noticed it happening a lot too, where like I would get an email, I wouldn't even read the email yet, I'd just see the little thing pop up in the corner and I would think, oh, someone's telling me I did something wrong, someone's telling me that I'm not good at my job, I've done like horrible things, when really I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't like work through and push those negative thoughts away.
Yeah.
And then I kind of had a moment of realization, and I was FaceTiming with my closest friends, like friends from high school, middle school. And I was sitting there, and I was so distracted with my thoughts, thinking, like, they don't want me here. Like, I'm not adding anything to this conversation. Like, I'm boring. I'm not funny. I'm a useless friend.
Yeah.
And these are people that I know absolutely love me, that have been there for me for forever. And it's not like me to feel and think that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just started shutting down.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even for you this week, like, I texted you, I was like, I'm going through something, like, I can't talk right now. Mm-hmm. And you're so sweet, and you, like, totally were understanding, and I really appreciate that. But I felt overwhelmed. I was crying basically every day. Like, at work I was crying, at home I was crying. And so I kind of decided that it was time to schedule with a psychiatrist and look into doing medication, because it was just too much. I was like, this is past the point of like what's normal for me.
Yeah.
It's not totally normal.
Yeah, no. some things are not totally normal.
Yes.
Yeah, and I definitely could see that. And I mean, even just with like, and I know you say that sometimes when you're having a hard time, like your response is like, doesn't like happen very often. And so I could see that this week, and like, just even like sometimes like, you know, when we do text, it's like all very excited, like exclamation points. Not, I feel like I use way more emojis than you do.
Yeah, I'm not a huge emoji
So
person.
you're not too much of an avid emoji user. However, I use one in like every other sentence. So, but I feel like too, like it just seemed different. So I could definitely see that.
It honestly took so much energy and effort for me to even send a text, because I was just like I felt so overwhelmed all day, every day.
Yeah.
And I at least did text you because I was like, I can't just leave Courtney hanging. Like, I have to let her know that I'm not feeling well. Like, I don't want her to think this is like something she did wrong, or that like I'm mad at you or anything like that. Yeah. And it's like I just couldn't process anything. Like, I got through the day at work, and that was like all I could do. And so I wanted to kind of talk about and hear today what led you to decide to start medication. What were your thoughts in the beginning? And maybe kind of talk about some of the fears and things that I'm feeling. Like, I have my appointment with my psychiatrist is coming up this upcoming Friday.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to just like get it out there. Like,
oh my gosh,
put it out there.
Let's freaking do it, you guys. Let's do it. Yes. Weird. So I've been on medication for, I think it's only been like 3 or 4 months now. I started in July, and it's October. Oh, almost October. It's like September, like 26th. But I guess by the time you guys will be listening to this, it is October.
Yes.
So I've been on medication. I don't even know how many months that is. July, August, September. Oh my god, it's only 2 months? No. Yeah, all of July, August, all of September. So 3 months now, because it was like early July. Okay. I know it was for sure after your birthday.
Okay.
Which is in June. So I decided to start it because I like literally could not calm down, and my biggest symptoms were like heart palpitations, not being able to breathe, and it was constant 24/7. I could not breathe. I like would go lay down to go to sleep, and it would like, do you know when like, also too, I need to know real quick that I hate roller coasters. And so do you know like when you get like when you're going up to the roller coaster and your heart like you get really nervous, and you're starting to feel nervous, but then like it kind of like sinks in. Yeah. But then when you drop, it kind of releases.
Yeah.
Okay, so I never had that, like, release. It was always just that constant, like, and, like, literally, like, feeling that way. And I would, like, try to go to bed. And I think the one night that I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I was literally trying to sleep. And every time I would actually start to fall asleep, my heart would do that, like, like, and it would feel like it was, like, falling into my stomach. And, I was just, like, acting totally different. I, like, wasn't excited to do anything. I barely like, I could like, and I know this is probably this probably happens for a lot of people, this especially this year. I mean, I've gotten so comfortable with being at home that it was literally becoming a problem for me to like go anywhere. And that's not normally like me. I usually love going places and like getting out of the house, and so I was like not wanting to go anywhere or do anything. And I think it was just like, okay, like I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, something has to like change. And so I actually asked a few of my friends who have been on medication before, just like what their experiences like were. And I didn't really ask like why they decided. I just was like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, what's your experience? Yeah. Like, did you like it? And one of my friends was like, yes, hell yes. Like, I love it. And I was like, okay.
That's exciting. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's been like, hell yeah. Like, this is
I'm
great.
all about it, honestly. Like, and, like, it is, so I started to notice a difference, and it was a small difference. So what I did, too, because it was my first time taking stuff like that, and I had one friend who told me that when she first started, she just took the whole dose. And it was too much for her, and she got really sick. And so I started, and I cut up, I think, 7 pills in half. So I think for 2 weeks, I did half just to get my body used to the extra levels of serotonin and all that good stuff. And then after that 2 weeks, I started taking the normal amounts. And I started to really notice a difference probably about a month in. It wasn't major, but my heart palpitations were not as prominent, and I could breathe, which is like
that's helpful.
a huge thing. Like, breathing is nice, and I had forgotten how nice it was. I was still having like pretty frequent like heart palpitations, but honestly, I could take a deep breath, and that's pretty much one of the main things I wanted. And so,
really asking for a lot there.
I
like
mean,
being able
just
to take
basic
deep breaths.
breath. It's too much. I can't believe I'm asking for it. But yeah, so I started to notice a difference like a month in, and it like a major difference like 2.5 months in, I'd say, like just as kind of like recently of like like I said, like this week I was fine pretty much all week except for like I had a rough day at work one day, but after work was over it was just like done. I was like, okay, cool, bye, like, and I didn't think about
let it go.
Yeah, and it was weird because I don't let go of things, like, and it's not easy. But I definitely feel like it is wonderful, and I could not have, like, I know for a fact that I could not have started to feel better on my own. So, like, it was, like, necessary.
Yeah. Did you notice any weird, like, side effects when it started, or did your body feel weird at all when you started taking medication?
Not really. I know in the first, like, couple of weeks, I just felt myself, like, being a little, like, warmer than usual. That's pretty much it. And I think one of the main reasons is because I did start half. Like, I kind of, like, eased my way into it instead of just, like, taking the full. And I was just doing 10 milligrams. I don't know.
Sure.
Your LaCroix boy is a pharmacist, so I mean, you should know this, shouldn't you? I'm just kidding.
I don't think that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure it's milligrams. 10 milligrams of Lexapro.
Okay.
And so I just was doing 5 for the first, like, I think it was like 12 days or something like that. Maybe it was only 6 pills because it wasn't a full 2 weeks. But I actually did track my journey for the first couple of weeks if you want me to read it to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you just, like, take notes in your phone?
Yeah,
or?
I just wrote down, like, how I was feeling.
That's a really good idea to, like, keep a journal of, like, what's going on and kind of look back on it.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it just in case that this makeup, I just read one of my notes and it's, one of my notes says makeup on it. What was I saying?
So you're pulling up your journal for...
Yes, my journal. Sorry, guys.
How it felt with the medication.
Yeah, so that's why. So a couple of people that I talked to had taken something different than Lexapro, and when I told my mom about it, she had said that Lexapro, like, didn't work for her, and so I wanted to keep a journal just so I could, in case it wasn't working, I could write down, like, what wasn't working and, like, why I felt this way. Oh, so I started it in June. Oh, I'm sorry. I lied to everybody here. I started at 5/31.
Oh, wow. A lot
I thought it was
than...
in July.
Yeah, I didn't realize you've been taking medication for that long.
Me neither. So it's been a lot longer, and it's just now starting to fully, like, kick in. That makes sense, though. Wow. Holy
blown away
guacamole. No, I had no idea, but I guess that makes sense because my doctor's appointment, when I tried to schedule it the first time, they were like, well, we can do May 23rd, and that's my birthday. And I was like, I don't want to go to the doctor on my birthday.
Yeah, like maybe a different day.
I think, actually, it might have been the 22nd because my birthday's on a Saturday. So it was the day before my birthday. So I was like, and that's when I really thought that, like, something was wrong with me, like that it wasn't just anxiety. So I was like, what if I get bad news that I'm dying on my birthday? I don't want that.
Yeah.
So,
happy birthday!
By the way. So I waited the extra week and I went, that makes sense. I went on the weekend of the 27th. And I think I got my pills that next week.
So when you went to the doctor, it wasn't necessarily like full on like I'm gonna get medication for anxiety. It was like there could be a whole slew of things going on. I want to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so I didn't even really know what it was. I kind of had a feeling that it was anxiety because my breathing symptoms, but I was just thinking that maybe it wasn't. Like, I just, there was that part of, like, my health anxiety that I have that was telling me that I was dying, that I had cancer, that I have heart problems, that I was going to have a heart attack at the fresh, ripe age of 28, or 27. That's you. I'm not 28.
Oh, yeah, you're not 28.
That was weird. Why did I just jump? That was awful. I'm only 27.
I mean, you're welcome to say you're my age.
I mean, I'm not an old lady like you.
I'm offended. I am a young, spry woman in her 20s.
You just said young, spry woman.
Okay, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, but so I went to the doctor for, like, I legitimately thought I was sick kind of thing. And when I got there, they did the like depression and anxiety screening that they do for everyone, and I did the depression one, and they were like, okay, you're like, you don't sound depressed, like you're fine. And then I did the anxiety one, and they were like, wow, so you've been feeling really anxious, haven't you? And I was like,
you're like, yes,
yeah, no, for sure. Like, it was just like, it was so bad. So that's when she like asked me if I wanted to take medication, and I was like, yeah. And I also got blood work done that day because I also convinced myself that I was severely anemic.
Oh, okay.
Because heart palpitations is a sign of being anemic, and I don't eat meat.
Did you like WebMD this before you went into the doctor?
Not WebMD, Katherine, but something else like that. Yes.
You're like, I stay away from WebMD, but I might use like
other things. Yeah, but like also too, well, like I don't eat meat. There was like lots of reasons that I thought I could have been iron deficient. Like, I don't eat meat. I mean, I eat a lot of vegetables, and there's iron in vegetables, but I still was like, I'm a vegetarian. I don't have enough iron. So there's actually a weird blood disease that's in my family. It's like a really rare, and I actually don't even know how it works, but my grandpa has it, and so I think it's like my grandpa has it, and then one of my cousins have it, and it's like the only people in our family. But I kind of convinced myself that I had that. I don't even know what the symptoms are for that, but I was like, I have it. That's it.
You're like, for sure, I don't even need to go in. I've diagnosed myself.
Exactly. So yeah, I just went for general stuff. Got my blood work done just to make sure that I wasn't anemic. Great news, guys. I'm not anemic. I'm not dying. I have no cancer. I'm actually a very healthy 27-year-old.
Even if you're 28, you'd still be fine, because 28 is a fine age to be.
I mean, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna fight you after this. Meet me outside.
When I found my medication journey.
That's cute. I'll have to do that too. I mean, depending on how it goes, if they do prescribe medication.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now, and I'm realizing that I lied to you about everything.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
starting off on a good foot here.
So I only took a half pill for 7 days. And then I started taking full pills. Oh, see, May 31st to June 8th was when I started taking a full pill.
Okay.
So that's about, it's like 9 to 10 days.
Okay.
So my day 1, tired, diarrhea, but not sure if it was from pill or not. Very high anxiety.
Let us start to your journal. Everyone that's listening is going to get real acquainted with you real quick here.
I don't mind. I mean, it's fine. So day 2, half pill again. No diarrhea, but my stomach still felt kind of weird. Very high anxiety. Day 3 is when I started to get really hot. So the next 5 days, it's like hot.
How long did you keep the journal for? Or are you still keeping it?
I did not. I'm not doing it anymore. So until the day 22.
Okay.
So 22 days. And I think by the 12th, the 11th, don't worry. Hot flashes. So this is day 12. Hot flashes, small panic attack.
Okay. Calling me old and you're having hot flashes like you're in menopause.
Hey, it's from the medicine. See, and after that, I feel like I stopped taking notes because it was fine. And it wasn't an unbearable, hot flashes. It was just, I'm usually a very cold, I don't know where to put my phone.
Perfect. Right there is wonderful.
Awesome. I'm usually a very cold person all the time, and I just wasn't cold. I was just kind of having hot flashes. And it wasn't something that was unbearable. And even the uncomfortable stomach, again, I've had stomach problems my entire life. Yeah. So it didn't feel much different.
Yeah.
Than my normal day-to-day. Well, kind of, because since I stopped eating meat, my stomach problems have gotten a whole lot better. So it was a little bit weird, but not as bad as my stomach problems have been in the past.
Okay.
But after about 2.5 weeks, I didn't have any other things going on.
That's good to know. I mean, I think some of the fears and things I have around it is just I'm worried about what if me as a person changes. What if I take medication and then I do worse at work? I already feel crappy about how I'm doing at work. And then what if I'm worse because I'm more relaxed and I'm not anxious and not trying to stay on top of everything, and then I don't do everything? And again, also this might be my thoughts coming to me right now of the intrusive thoughts of not doing well. And then thoughts of what if I put on weight because of the medication, because I know that that's a common side effect, and then I start feeling even worse about how I look, because, I mean, that's not, like, super high up to begin with, me feeling great about how I look, and then, like, adding that to it probably wouldn't help. And then also just fear of, like, what if I'm not as nice to people? Like, what if I don't feel like I'm Katherine anymore? Like, the things that I pride myself on that are my, like, characteristics, what if those aren't there anymore?
Yeah, and I feel like my fears going into it were having to depend on it for the rest of my life, and that was pretty much my biggest fear. My other fears were just like you said, like kind of like losing myself, but honestly, like I haven't felt so much myself in a couple of years. And I feel like too, because, and I mean Lexapro is an antidepressant, and so it literally is just like giving you serotonin that your body's not naturally producing, and I don't know, I love it.
Well, and it's funny that you say that, because you, and then I've talked to just a couple other friends about this, like some of my old coworkers and some of my new coworkers, like at my old job and then my current job, and they've kind of shared with me about medication. And I think talking with people about their experience and hearing that, like, they have had good experiences with it, and like for some people that I've talked to, they've been on it for a while, like years and years and years.
Yeah.
And it's people that I like look up to, that I hold in high regard, that I'm like, you know what you're doing, like you're still really successful, you're still really kind, you're still a wonderful person, and like I look up to you, was kind of comforting, that I was like, okay, so maybe I can still be like that even if I'm taking medication.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I really support other people taking medication. Like, I've always told people, like, you should take medication if you feel like it's a good fit for you, if you want to, like, it makes a lot of sense and it helps out a lot. And then it's hard when it's like,
it's when
me.
It's yourself.
Yeah. Now I have to actually make this decision. I have to, kind of feels like diving headfirst into something that I have no clue about, which is really hard when I am such a planner. I like to know everything, and then I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how this is gonna go. Let's just see. And I don't like that feeling.
Yeah, and I get that. And I'm obviously no psychiatrist. Obviously. But I feel like all those thoughts that you're having and those fears too are part of your mental struggles. And, you know, like, it's really easy to think of, like, what if this is going to happen? What if I'm a different person? What if I'm going to need it for the rest of my life? Like, what if I become dependent on it? Like, what if I lose parts of myself? And it's really easy to get lost in those thoughts. But it's also something that, and I feel like too, there's like this huge stigma around taking medications of like, oh, if you're taking medication, like, I don't even know. Like, it's like frowned upon. Like, it's just like people like, you shouldn't do it. Like, you should try to get better yourself. And it's like, sometimes like you just really can't. And that's 100% fine. And I feel like too, when you like, especially the way it's like portrayed in like shows and movies and stuff, people who need it are always like you look at that and you're like, they're really struggling. But like when you think about it, and it's like hard to think of yourself as struggling like that.
It's like that idea of like, I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not quite to that point yet.
Yeah.
But like, let's be honest here, I am.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's
am.
okay. And like, honestly, more people should be taking medication. The world would probably be a lot better and nicer of a place if more people were taking medication. And like, it's okay. It's okay if you want to take it. It's okay if you don't. Like, but I also feel like these are all questions that you could talk to your psychiatrist about, and they will kind of like formulate, I guess, a medication, whatever it is, cocktail. Like, I don't know, like
kind of find the right balance of medications and find like, I mean, and I know that medication takes a while to like trial and error of seeing what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I really love being on Lexapro, and maybe Lexapro doesn't work for you. Maybe you try something like, I don't even know any other ones right now off the top of my head. But maybe, maybe you try a different one and you really like this one. And I actually had one of my friends talk to me about the one that she was taking, and she was like, I don't recommend Lexapro. Like, it, it didn't work for me. And telling me all these things she went through on Lexapro and how it just made it all worse. Like, it made her anxiety worse. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep trying it. I go back to the doctor. I did like a 6-week checkup with my doctor. And I was like, when I go back, if it's not working or anything, like I'll ask for something different.
Yeah.
But it was fine, and maybe too I'm seeing a bigger difference now because so the first 6 weeks I was just doing 10 milligrams, and we bumped it up to 15.
Okay.
So now I'm doing 15,
Yeah.
And Lexapro is working great for me. Like I haven't had any of the like weird side effects that my other friend was telling me about, and like how it was giving her more anxiety, like making it worse. I haven't had any of that, so I feel like it's just
depends.
What works best for you, and if you try it and you don't like it and you want to get off of it, like that's fine too. And I know your psychiatrist will be very helpful and be like, okay, well, what are your fears, and like hopefully like talk about it with you and like comfort you about it, because I think your fears are all very valid and very real, and can definitely be really scary to start something, especially when you don't know a lot about it and you've never done it before. But
yeah,
it's been really good for me.
I like the one point that you said earlier. It kind of like hit me, where you're saying sometimes we can't handle these things on our own. Sometimes we need the extra help of medication. And I was talking to my sister last night, actually, and she basically was saying the same thing to me of like, Katherine, the things that you're telling me are things that I know you have the knowledge that you can like give the evidence against those thoughts.
Yeah.
And like normally you can do that, but you're past that point, and that's when like you need that extra supportive medication. When you can't say, no, I'm not worthless because of this and this and this, when you are so lost in those thoughts. And it was really like surprising to like hear that. It's like, wow, that's like really true, because I'm aware of that. Like I can tell factual things, but I can't feel that, and I can't like take that in right now.
Yeah, and when it's comes to a point when it's that hard to do things where you're crying every single day and you literally like can't control it anymore. Like, so there's this quote from in a Paramore song that I like really, really love. And it says, if I let go of control, I can be strong. And I'm going to get that tattooed on me because I fucking love that. That's like my favorite thing ever. And I just think that's such a good thing to think of, because like, and also too, I know you've talked about being a perfectionist, and you don't know what's going to happen. And in situations like this, if you just let go of control and just like let go, and I know I'm saying that too, like it's hard, like it's
let
easy.
Go, and I'm like, oh no,
I know.
no.
See, and I know I'm like saying it like it's so easy, and I know for a fact that it's not easy. But if you just kind of like, and I mean, I'm not trying to like. But you know what I mean, though? Like, if you just, like, let go and just be like, okay, like, just kind of, like, give into it. Because that's when it's gonna... I mean, you have to give into something sometimes.
Like, instead of, like, fighting against it, like, rolling with it and accepting it and, like, going with the flow rather than trying so hard to, like, push against it.
You're so much better at words than I am.
I have those good words.
But, if you just give into it and just... like, it's not like you're letting it win or anything like that. Like, when I say giving in, you're not like losing a battle or anything. You're just kind of like being like, okay, this is where I am. I need help, and just kind of like recognizing it and just giving into it a little bit. And then, sometimes you need that extra help, that medication, to take back what your anxiety and what your depression has taken from you, and that's totally fine.
Oh, that is so true. Like, it's so interesting over the past 2 weeks. I've been pretty good about studying Japanese regularly. Like, I'm really excited about it. I do it regularly. And the last 2 weeks, I haven't even had the energy. I still do my Duolingo every day. I do like the one lesson to keep my streak going.
Right.
Shout out to Duolingo.
Sponsor us.
But outside of that, I haven't been able to do anything more than that. And that's something that I look forward to. Like, that's my self-care. That's like how I feel good. And that on top of not even being able to like talk to my friends and things like that, it's like I want to take that back. I don't want to have that all be gone to these negative thoughts in my head and this like depressed mood that I'm experiencing.
Yeah, and it really sounds like right now, like your depression and everything that's going on is in control, and it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you can, it'll be hard, but you can, like, totally flip it around. And I mean, I'm saying this being, like, 5 months, I guess. 4 or 5 months on medicine, on that serotonin.
A range of 3 to 5 months, depending on at what point in this episode you're at.
May 31st to basically October. What is that? So June, July, August, September. Yeah, 4 months. I'm saying that 4 months, like, on medication, like, it's super easy. Like, but honestly, too, like, I don't know, and I don't know if you've noticed it in me at all, but I'm just, like, I haven't felt this myself, and I know I said that earlier, but I'm just going to emphasize it. I haven't felt this myself in years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I really lost myself for a long time, and I was even telling my therapist the other day, she was like, how are you doing? And I was like, honestly, like, I'm doing okay. And I've done a lot of work in therapy, too. So I've done EMDR, and I've been working on a lot of stuff. And she was like, well, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing okay. Like, I'm doing good. I caught myself singing in the car the other day, and I haven't done that, like, by myself in so long, just, like, turning up the...
Isn't it interesting how that goes away? Because that was something I noticed for myself, too. Like, I haven't sung by myself in so long.
And that's, like, a big thing. Like, I love going, like, driving in my car and just turning up my radio as loud as, like, not as loud as I can. We're not trying to break my car speakers.
You're that car where they roll up and you're like, oh, my God. Like, my car is shaking because of their car.
It's mostly Taylor Swift. And Paramore. Demi Lovato. But, like, I mean, and I noticed myself, and that's a huge thing for me, and I was like, I literally, like, I don't know, I don't think you've watched Grey's Anatomy, but it's, like, there's a part of Grey's Anatomy in the beginning where Callie talks about how she doesn't dance around in her underwear anymore, and that's one thing she always used to love to do, is, like, get home and relax, she would turn on music, and just dance in her underwear.
Yeah.
And there's a part in the show where she, like, starts dancing in her underwear again, and that's, like, how I feel, where I'm, like, dancing in my underwear. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Is that going to be the name of our episode, Dancing in Your Underwear?
I love it. Also, I have goosebumps talking about it.
Oh, I love it. But that's where, like, I hope to get to. And I think that you've been a really good role model for me in the steps that you've taken to prioritize yourself and to take medication and be open about it. And it really has made me feel more comfortable with the process and more okay with talking about it myself.
Yeah, and I mean, to get down to the nitty-gritty part of this podcast is that's exactly what this is for, is to help people see that, like, it's okay to talk about, it's okay to do it, it's okay not to do it, like, just to make it more of a regular conversation that can happen in our day-to-day, because it needs to be talked about, because I feel like, too, if it was talked about more and it was, like, normalized and discussed on a regular basis, you probably wouldn't have as many fears. Like, you'd still have some, obviously, because you're human, and that's, you know, that's
and it's also
life.
Like, natural to have fears.
But I feel like, too, it wouldn't be as many, and I mean, obviously, like, I don't know for sure, but, like, I don't know. It'd
feel more okay. It wouldn't feel like something. And I think this is an interesting part, too. I feel like I have to have this, like, dialogue, this, like, conversation, like, this, like, self-disclosure about it to, like, everyone, like, here's this big step. And I think that if it's more normalized, it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, it can be casual conversation where I'm, like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to tell my parents, I need to tell my close friends, I need to, like, have this, like, conversation, and it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, it's a big deal because of what I'm experiencing, but, like, taking the medication part doesn't have to be a big deal.
Right, exactly. I also forgot to mention that when I did start, I didn't, for the first, 2 weeks, I didn't have any alcohol. I forgot to mention that, because when I was doing my research, I just read that it could make it worse in the beginning, and so I didn't. And then also, too, when I started taking the more milligrams, I didn't stop drinking alcohol, and then my anxiety was getting worse, and so I stopped for about 10 days.
Okay.
And it is better. It's totally fine now. So I will mention. I forgot to mention that.
I might take that page out of your book and maybe not drink for a moment.
Yeah, and it was just like the first 2 weeks as my body was getting used to it. It wasn't like, and at first I was like, oh my God, what if I can never have wine again, because I love wine.
Yeah.
And, like, Nate and I go wine tasting all the time, and I was really, like, I told him, I was like, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to drink on this medication. And he was like, he was like, yeah, I mean, totally get it, but also, like, what are we gonna do about our wine tasting? And I was like, dang. And so I kind of, like, eased my way into it after, too. Like, definitely didn't have any frosés.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe we should have, like, one last hurrah with frosés before I start medication.
I'm so down.
Priorities.
And I mean, like I said, after 2 weeks, I think I started, like, having, like, regular amounts. I mean, I don't know what regular amounts is. It's not like we get drunk all the time or anything.
Again, I'm apparently an old lady, so I can't keep up with drinking heavily, so.
No, but I still like to have, like, well, it was, so, like, when I started, actually, like, when I upped my dosage and I went from 10 to 15, even just one glass of wine, like, would bring my heart palpitations back, and I was like, this is so weird, and I was like, oh, it's whatever, it's just fine, and then I was like, it's not my wine, and then after, like, a week and a half, I was like, no, I need to take another break, so I just took, like, I think, and the second time, since my body was already used to it, I think I just took, like, 7 to 10 days or something, like, something really, like, short, and I mean, it's not like it was hard. I struggled. No, it was really easy.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good tip. I'll remember that one.
Yeah.
And I think for any of you guys that are listening, if you are kind of making that choice on whether to take medication or not, like, kudos to you. It's a hard choice. And I mean, it shouldn't have to be like, I hope that we get to a point in our society where, like, if you choose to do that, like, it's fine. It's not seen as such a big to do. But right now, like, it is a big choice. It is a hard choice. And I just want to, like, give you a shout out for taking that time to, like, look into yourself and look at what you need for yourself and trying to prioritize what's best for your health, for your mental health.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do all the time.
I also forgot to mention, I'm, like, remembering all these things right now. I also just forgot to mention that one of my fears going into it, too, was that people would, like, look at me differently. And one of the things that I did with that was I just kind of took control of it, and I just talked about it publicly, like, on my Instagram and stuff like that, like, my personal one. Just because, too, one of the reasons, too, I wanted to make it normal so people don't look at people differently who are taking medication, and make it, you know, as they just see. And, like, also, too, the thing that I love thinking about it is, like, if you were, like, physically sick, you would take medication for it. So why wouldn't you do it if it's your brain?
Yeah.
I don't see why it's such a big deal, and why, like, I mean, I get why it's a big deal, but I don't see why it's so, like, looked down on, I guess.
Yeah, like, it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a big deal for people who are making the decision, because it can be life-changing. It can be a hard process to go through, so I get that part, but I don't see why it's, like...
why our society overall, like, has to have this view on it.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, and that's one of the things that I was like, okay, I'm doing this for myself. I'm gonna take control about how people see it. And so I went on Instagram and I talked about, like, taking medication.
Yeah. It's one thing that's funny that I have already started doing, and I'm planning on doing this week too, is, like we were saying earlier, I'm a planner. I like to, like, be ahead of the game. So, like, I told my coworker at the location I work at, I'm like, okay, I have this appointment. I might start taking medication. I need you to tell me if I'm, like, not doing as well at work, or if you see changes, like, so I can work on myself. And she's like, Katherine, it's gonna be okay. Like, I don't think it's gonna be that major. And then I'm like, I need to talk to my supervisor, just give her a heads up, so that way if, like, my productivity falls, that she's in the know. And I mean, she's really nice, and, like, I feel comfortable sharing that with her.
Yeah.
Because she's great. But it's like, I'm, like, planning all these things, so I'm like, so I can just, like, manage and stay on top of things.
And I mean, that's okay. If that's what you need to do, that's fine. You can I'll even, like, go to Target and get you a cute little journal so you can write down how you're feeling every day. Like, whatever you need to do to prepare yourself for this next step in your journey, you do what you need to do.
Stop, you're so cute.
Thank you.
If there was, like, one piece of advice, or, like, one piece of wisdom for people that are contemplating starting medication or have kind of just started, what would you say to them? Or, like, what's one thing that you hope people take away from listening today?
I would say that it is perfectly okay. It is acceptable, and you are not any less than anyone else for needing medication. And I would also say that if you're ever feeling uncomfortable about your medication, or you think it's not working, or you want something different, don't be afraid to talk to your doctor, your psychiatrist, whoever you're working with it. And again, just don't be ashamed of it. Like, you take that control and be proud. And this is a huge step that you're taking to work on yourself. And I think that that's a really awesome, really strong, really brave thing to do, because you're taking control of something that has become out of control. And I think that's a really hard thing to notice. I think that's a really hard thing to do. And I think it's a really amazing thing in someone's journey of mental illness or whatever. And I think that you were strong and you were brave for deciding to take medication.
I love that. And I think one thing that I would like to say is, you know, sometimes we just experience like a lot of shit. Doesn't matter how well versed we are in mental health. Like, I have my master's in social work. Like, I know like the counseling techniques. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. We all will have struggles. We all, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people will experience struggles with their mental health. And it's okay to get that support. It's okay to not be perfect at it, even if you are still helping others. Like,
right.
Because that's been a struggle for me of like being like, I should be better at this because I help others.
Well, actually, so I think it's really interesting is that, and I mean, I follow quite a few therapists on TikTok, and also I've talked to my therapist about it, and most people that I've seen so far in my experiences with therapists, most therapists also struggle with something, and that's why they wanted to do this, so they could understand themselves and help other people. And so it's totally normal.
I see what you did there.
Totally normal to be the person who helps someone and still struggle with yourself. I mean, you can't, I know I'm telling this to my beautiful perfectionist best friend, you can't be perfect, girl.
Watch me try. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing like your journey with me and what you've experienced so far, because this has been helpful for me to just like get it out there, like put it out into the world for anyone on YouTube or listening to the podcast to hear and see it. Welcome to my journey. And I think it might be something cool to do where we kind of check in later on with like how the medication has like been working or what my process is like. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to try 3 or 4 different medications to find something that works.
And if you do, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's whatever works best for you, man.
So buckle up, guys. You're in for the ride of my own mental health journey. Not that you weren't already a part of that with
I was going to say, you're 13 episodes in.
We're just diving on in. It's fine.
Oh, well, I think on that note, we can wrap it up now. Thank you guys so much for joining. Also, if you didn't catch us on and you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we are now officially on YouTube.
Hey!
So exciting. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe anywhere you guys are listening or watching. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at That's Totally Normal, right?
We post little fun, yeah, right? We got a little sign to let you know. We post a little, my favorite phrase is thoughtful words.
Thoughtful words.
Thought-provoking things. I don't know, just little things that come from our brains that help us out, honestly, is mostly what it is.
And I mean, I love it. I think we have a great, cute Instagram page, but I'm probably slightly biased.
But yeah, feel free to follow us on there if you want little pick-me-ups. And we really appreciate you guys tuning in, listening, sticking around with us, and joining us for our ride that is our lives.
Yeah. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, friends.
Matane!